This video is going to show some variations on the extended body technique. One variation is a traditional parachute pattern, and we'll go over how to tie that. Another variation is basically a compare-done type. Here I've got the Walmart garbage bag wing. It's very good early in the hatch when the nymphs are floating, trying to escape in the surface film. This is another variation. I will not be demonstrating the compare-done types. It's pretty straightforward, but I will show you some techniques to use on the parachute. The reason I like these ties are very early in the hatch when the nymphs are getting to the surface and flying off quickly. The trout will key in on the floating nymph or the just newly emerged sulfur, and these flies and the parachute mimic that. Later in the hatch, the natural style, I think, outfishes these. These are early hatch flies. One common mistake I made early in tying these types of flies is that I tended to make them larger than they should be. I noticed this one day hiding what I thought was a 16 up to a natural 16th, and it was at least a third longer. So I made this little tool right here so that I can measure the extended body when I tie this type of parachute fly. In this case, I want to tie a number 16, so I take my extended body, and you see that's about a 16 there. Originally, I would have tied it longer and had an abdomen and a thorax longer than the natural. But by making yourself a little gauge like this, you'll be able to right size your flies. Now, this isn't necessary with a standard tie because a size 16 standard length shank is standard. You put the body on, it's going to be a 16. But with the extended body, you tend to make them larger, and so, as I say, make yourself a little gauge so that you'll be able to right size your flies. The first step is to secure your hook and vise. Right here I'm using a size 20 scud hook. It fits nicely on a size 16 body. I have it mounted like that because that just aids greatly in trying to slip the body on the hook. And now, if you can see this, I'll try to slip that on the hook. I'll get it up to about the point of the shank length, and I'll go ahead and pull the barb through. Then I take the hook out, place the hook in the vise in the normal manner, and now I'm ready to tie. I don't do anything yet other than I take my thread and I build up a little base. I do this so that you'll have something for that body to hold on to with glue when I slide it forward. So I let that hang, go ahead and snip that off. The thread on the next step is I'll take just a little bit of head cement, put it on that juncture. Then I'll take the body, slide it forward to the position I want. You can see that's about all the way forward. Take a couple of wraps and then come back to the wing position, let the fly drop. At this point, I'll go ahead and secure the hackle on at the wing tie-off point. Secure it well. For the wing on this fly, I'll use what's become my favorite wing material on small flies. If you can see it, this is just a strip of the Walmart garbage bag, stretched, as a previous video shows. And Jim Misiura, I think's the pronunciation on YouTube, first had this technique on, so I've just copied it. You get the wing, you give it a twist, you put it in position. I do a couple of wraps, and now this is going to get awkward because I usually tilt this toward me but the camera's in the way, and I don't have any other option, but I'll try that. But now I'll try, and hopefully you can see, to do a couple loose wraps around the wing, pull it tight, a couple more loose wraps around the wing, pull it tight. Okay, and now I'll come down below the wings where I'll be tying off the hackle. So now you can see the wings are up, the hackle's tied in, and I'm ready to do the traditional parachute. So I'll just take a couple of turns around there. Now these aren't really strong wings, but they're strong enough if you hold them, and if you've got good quality hackle, to go ahead, get 2 or 3 turns around there. You don't need a whole lot, because all you're simulating, or all you're doing, just barely trying to float to fly. Come up, I come around that wing a couple of times, then I come down, and because the hackle's in the way, I turn it slightly, get my half hitch tool, and I'll put about 3 or 4 half hitches on there. Then I'll go ahead and take my razor blade, cut my hackle off close. I use that so that way I won't cut any fibers off. Trim my thread. Go ahead and pull my wings up into position. Do the initial trim on their length. And now I look sideways on it. I see a couple errant hackles that would keep that body from floating correctly. Trim those off. Now I'll provide a drop of head cement at the base of the wing and at the tie-off point. Put that aside to let it dry, and right there you have your little parachute, sulfur, size 16. Got a perfect looking wing, a nice profile. There's another errant fiber. A nice profile. That body will sit in the film just like an emerging mayfly, getting ready to take off, and the trout will take them at that point. Now a few words about the other 2 flies. Just tie them the same way, except put your wing on without the hackle for the dun, and you put some floatant on those wings. You'll be surprised how long that floats upright. And of course the CDC version, a little frog's fanny on that, and it'll float and ride well also.